healing as well. Can he find a target? He's going to flash back under the tower. Shock blast there. Faker making it out to safety. Scout looking to follow up the healing now coming in, trying to find the 1-for-1, but Scout will stand strong. But Gala get forced to safety. Chakrams stacked. Zeus can't find the angle, but the shutdown coming through for Faker. T1 taking the fight anyway. Scout given to the Aatrox as tribute, and now Gala's in trouble. T1 coming alive. They see the window of opportunity. They see the weakness in the armor of LNG, and they tear it asunder.
The fans are going crazy already, and T1 stepped into the Sagic Indoor Gymnasium in Busan today with a mission and to keep up the honor for the LCK, and they are on match point already. It went so fast, and to be honest, that game 2 went so fast. It started from the first plays. Talk me through why T1 was able to get such a good start, especially around that Herald.
Well, we've pulled a pretty cool sequence of events that illustrates an issue that is sometimes really hard for casters to communicate, and it is the change of tempo from team to team. So we see T1 send their whole team up here to Rift Herald and fully commit to this. But we know that T1 have this in mind where they've invested a lot in bottom lane power with 2 Hail of Blades AD carries, 2 Lethality AD carries, and so they want to stack dragons. So they know that by giving up this Herald, they are then going to give up the priority and the tempo for LNG to be able to push out mid lane and then rotate from mid lane down to bottom lane to get these turret plates onto Gala. The problem is, because T1 know this, they're trying to use these turret plates as bait so that they can then get a better setup for Dragon. They can get cooldowns off of LNG. And so you see the Ash Arrow plus the teleport from Faker to be able to get the Maokai ultimate out, as well as the cleanse here off of Gala and the extra flash from Hung. Then they can rotate over to the Dragon, push out Tarzan here, no flash for him either, and continue on stacking their win conditions. So even though they commit really hard to this Rifto and spend a whole bunch of time up there and give up this turret plate money, they still get more back towards their end win con.
And for LNG, a couple of times you saw that the idea was correct in terms of, okay, we know this objective is something we need, but then they would get poked out, or they would lose someone, or they'd have to reset. It was always T1 with the right decisions and timing.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here is the thing I loved about T1 is this is a return to form for them, right? Like we talked about how the play style kind of introduced by a lot of the LPL teams starting in Swiss but moving into quarterfinals was this more bot prio. Well, guess what? T1 loves this. This is Keria, I now believe, is 7-1 on this Ashe pick. They love this early bot lane dominance, going for these pushes. This was such a reminiscent of their spring performances when they were setting the world's meta, not just the LCK meta, but dictating what the world was playing. So this is such a comfort zone for T1, and it's great to see them show up and not only kind of evolve that meta further, but also a return to comfort for them.
And I think a huge portion of having that opportunity to play around that bot side so well is because Owner is having a phenomenal series. This guy has consistently got these wards in the early stages and has pathed it so perfectly around what Tarzan is trying to do. Game 1, he got on red buff and was able to then realize there was a split map happening. In this game then, he was able to turn it over with the ward on towards Raptors, where he was then transitioning then to go, okay, I can actually start to protect my bot side. I can start to get these massive leads. I can steal away the blue buff that Maokai never took. He has been so good at reading what Tarzan is doing and punishing LNG every step of the way.
0-1-20. Well, what a team player.
Not bad.
I think I have to stress how out of sorts he looked in summer, especially when Faker wasn't there. He was kind of the lightning rod for criticism on this T1 team when they were struggling. So to see him come to this world stage and have such a great performance has been awesome.
Faker looks in the zone, and just as a reminder, T1 at Worlds has never been eliminated earlier than the semifinals in all of their 7 appearances, and you can see it right now in the quarterfinals. Kobe, they are on a different level. They have such clear focus.
I mean, it is twofold. I feel like there has been such heavy priority on these support counter picks and on the jungle diff. Tarzan is not playing very well here on stage, so LNG really need several individual members to step up, as well as try and come up with something to deal with this onslaught of bottom lane priority that T1 have been able to put together using Keria's flexibility.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is their game planning around these drafts. Like, so not only are their drafts good, but their level 1s have been great. They understand exactly what they need to do. Start the early dragon stacking around bot prio. This is how they love to play as a team. It fits perfectly.
And I think this is why I want to see the Ziggs. Gala's been an incredible Ziggs. You get the push and bot. You can get control for Dragon and Rift Shroud. That's what I want to see from this team.
They're going to have to do something if they're going home. Let's see what happens in Game 3. Dracos, do you think T1 take it?
At this point, I am inclined to think yes, Shocks, based on the fact that they have shown 2 completely different drafts. They're once again on the red side, but the ultimate question is, can they continue to find these super advantageous bot lanes?
Well, I think the ball is absolutely in LNG's court, because T1 is just going to do the same thing if you let them, right? Like, clearly, they're going to play towards bot winning 2v2. They're going to keep blinding the Aatrox. They're going to keep doing all these things that have been working so well for them. And LNG have got to adjust, have got to show us that they have a different style that they can bring out. Whether it is going to be playing for a bot 2v2 that's winning, they're going to ban out the Rel, so that is one change, or whether they're just going to be bringing Tarzan more heavily down towards the bot lane to try to disrupt that 2v2. I feel like, yes, there have been errors and issues in all lanes, but T1 is controlling through 2v2, and it's been all about bot mostly to me.
This Maoka ban from T1 is really interesting because I feel like the Sidus pick works really well. And yeah, you're 100% walking into the Ori here. We'll see if T1 wants to go with what a lot of LCK teams have been trying to do, which is the Akali counter pick. The alternative, obviously, is the Azir, even though I feel like over the course of the tournament, it hasn't actually been that successful as a counter pick.
Exactly. Yeah, we just haven't seen people be able to effectively like get up on the Orianna and actually sweep him back in, which is pretty much the entire idea behind it. But T1 could go towards Akali. We'll see.
It is a safe pick, most certainly. T1 have the luxury of being up 2 games, so can experiment a bit here.
And I will say, when we were watching a lot of the LCK playoffs together, Chronicler, it did feel like this was one of Faker's picks where he just looked so much better on. Because in the LCK, there was so much jungle attention thrown towards Faker against T1 from all kinds of different teams. And this is one of those picks where he can not only perform in the team fights, but he's able to stay safe in lane, get push. So it is absolutely a comfort pick for Faker. I don't think it's as iconically his pick as it is Scout's, but this is absolutely comfort for Faker.
Cool, and yeah, this is a 1-2 combo that LCK teams have really gravitated very heavily towards because of the wall poppy slam that you can get with the Azir. And it's also, Owner was one of our best poppies, was the one who, if I remember correctly, started popularizing it within the LCK way back, and used to be the champion that was basically perma-banned against him.
And I think it's also one of those things that really limits some other picks from being, kind of gravitated towards. When you think about what Sika has been playing, well, all top laners that are meta basically have a dash. When you think about what Hong has been playing, all these engaged supports, well, they're kind of shut down by it as well. So I want to see what the changes are going to be now. As Sejuani will be locked in. That, again, leads me to believe you're playing heavily towards top side. I think they just slam Jax here is kind of what I'm expecting. Jax or Renekton, play heavily towards top if you're going to be locking in that early Sedge. So it is going to be the Renekton option, but I honestly loved Zika's Jax throughout all of the LPL, so I kind of would have liked him to go towards it.
I imagine T1 just slam the Aatrox here again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even into the really strong 2v2 that you're going to face, it feels to me like the crux of this game, of the series thus far, has not been who gets their top laner ahead. It's been who's been better at playing towards bot. And I feel like the Aatrox has actually been very successful in surviving that. The Renata, though, has been permanently banned, I think, by either team thus far. Will get locked in blind here.
And I love seeing the Renata come out, obviously a super high priority pick. They can now ban away anything they so choose to set up bot lane for success. They still have the luxury of counter pick for somewhere else on the map. Have to see where it's going to go. Poppy could also go into the top side if she so chooses, or they so choose.
And that is why we are seeing, Caitlyn banned out these long-range champions. That is what Renata struggles into. Renata is really successful into these melee comps, into these short-range comps that are forced to engage into you. You can answer this pick with long-range, with poke, but Long has not been playing that style. And when you look over at the engage available, and you see an Orianna, you kind of know that they want some sort of pairing with that Orianna that is going to be the hard engage. So I feel like this is very much a read on the first 3 picks by Carrier, who's saying they have to find some sort of hard engage pairing that is going to really make this comp bad to play into the Renata.
And I'm wondering if it's going to be the Aatrox ban here, or if they're happy with the power of their 2v2 to let Zeus play it anyway. I also really like the Kai'Sa ban here. I think that the biggest power or really the biggest weakness of Kai'Sa has been specifically when the Senna is available with Renata already locked in. Can't really go for any of that, so denying Gala, one of his best champions, definitely a good call. I love the Gnar ban though. Zeus is the best Gnar in the LCK bar none, and T1 have like an incredible amount of experience playing around it.
And it's a really good negation pick. It's one of those picks that can stay safe, that doesn't necessarily require you to play towards it as heavily. So I do think that makes sense. It is going to be the Varus once again, though.
With the sheer amount of tanky players on the opposite side, I wonder if we do see a transition to the on-hit Varus. It is an option.
With Bailout especially.
With Bailout especially, and this is a super oppressive bot lane 2v2. LNG, yeah, can build for the composition, but hung outside of Engage Sports, this is going to be a tough task. Milio is fantastic, can outclass the Renata, but this is going to be a tricky one to navigate.
I just don't really love their draft that much, I'm going to be honest. I do feel like LNG have kind of painted themselves into a corner a little bit. They have no ability to really be on the front foot. Like, yeah, you can kind of fish with Sejuani ults, but it's pretty tough. I think you get an early Mikhails. There's going to be some cleanses and things like that are going to keep you relatively safe from it. The engage options are really, really poor, I do think, for LNG. For LNG, I think the early game is going to become so incredibly important. They're going to have to be able to kind of absorb these engages, utilize the Breath of Life here with Milio to try to cleanse out, AoE cleanse out the CC that's going to be coming with the hostile takeover. That's kind of going to be the job here of Hong. And they're going to have to hope that this keeps Scala safe, keeps Scout safe, and creates that space for them to take over a 5v5. But I feel like T1, especially with this Jace coming through, can play through sides, can be able to answer, can be able to poke, and I feel like they have got a lot more tools in their kit.
Yeah, because LNG outside of the Orianna is playing, and even that isn't going to be that good if you don't have control of the area already. A short-range composition into Poppy, Azir, and Renata, right? And I do also think that with the limited engage, the only reliable tool you have is a Sejuani, because the Milio is only going to serve as counter engage. It is going to become so hard to play this game if you lose control early on. And when I look at the level of aggression that I'm expecting to come out from T1 when they have played these Jace, Renata, and Varus compositions, I'd be very worried for LNG.
I am too, and I think we're going to see early Merc Treads on the side of T1 when there is not only the Sejuani, but there's also AP in the mid lane, there's a Renekton in the top lane. I think we're going to see Merc Treads. I think we're going to see Cleanse and maybe even early Mikhails from Keria. And then the game is going to get ridiculously hard for LNG. So Tarzan, I think he needs to get active early. He needs to get active often. See if he can pair up with Zika, who is playing press the attack on this Renekton. So it's really all about the early game, it feels like. If they could slam home an advantage up on the top side against Zeus, they can maybe use that to take objectives, maybe use that to snowball the game.
And in the first two games, T1 choked out LNG. Can LNG finally break the mold, break the formula, find their footing in this game 3? It is do or die for the LPL 3rd seed. Tarzan struggling a bit this series. See if he can do more on this Sejuani in the early game. T1 obviously with the entire crowd behind them. The last representative of the LCK here at Worlds 2023. LPL fans got a cushy life right now. They already got 3 through, hoping to find a 4th, but it's going to take a miraculous turnaround as we go through the series.
Yeah, come on, you already got 3. Don't get greedy.
Yeah. Anyway, if you think that's a laughable concept, connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. You can keck along with the rest of us. What the team wants to do.
That just sounded like the most hello, fellow kids.
Hello, fellow kids.
Hey, kids, if you'd like to keck along with the rest of us.
I'm in my 30s, could you tell? Haha. Anyway.
I don't really have a response to this, guys. I'm very sorry.
Okay, it's fine.
I think it's a fun emote.
It is.
That's the extent of my opinion.
I was making fun of the emote, was making fun of Dracos.
It's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Great emote.
I'm going to go get the emote.
I feel like
caster.
I have to jump to the defense of Dracos.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Chronicler, we hurt the ones we love, as they say, you know?
Yeah. Chronicler's on this positivity hype. He keeps showing us this picture of a frog every time we do negative self-talk.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Okay, I won't. Hopefully LNG aren't doing any negative self-talk either. Got to stay focused. Bot lane, again, has been a huge weak point, a lot because T1 have consistently had the counter pick on the bottom side of the map. Not to individual player mistakes, but more just because they haven't really had agency in the first 2 games. Game 3 going to be a bit of a different story.
And Keria is kind of unleashed. I mean, if he can play whatever his heart desires, just play for these winning 2v2s, and that's working for T1, then they are such a frightening team, because we've talked about it a lot, but this guy is so versatile. When he really was at his peak, it's kind of Keria just going crazy. He was trying all kinds of different supports. He was trying all kinds of different styles. And that is where he is so incredibly hard to beat, because he's so mechanically proficient. He's so flexible as a player, and he really knows how to get the maximum advantage out of these lanes.
Yeah, during the AD carry support meta within the LCK, it was just like you were playing down a ban against T1. There was just no option. You had to ban Ashe every single time. As Tarzan and Owner are going to meet.
Walking in face to face. sustained damage. Neither side has that much, but right now a lot of damage coming in for Tarzan. Owner now just going to zoom his way out to safety. That's the phase rush proccing. Buckler coming in. Both sides squaring up with the big old golem here. Flash in, wall bang, first blood! Owner living up to his name!
Owner plays it out perfectly, gets the aggro back onto Tarzan.
Does he get the blue?
And he's going to get the blue as well. As Tarzan retreats back, he gets too close to the wall. Owner sees the opportunity, and now he's going to try to cut off Scout here potentially. Scout senses it and does walk the long way. But what a way to assert dominance in a match point game here. Tarzan having a rough series. Owner gets right in his face and leaves no question about who the better jungler is today.
And this is coming from the guy that was the big underperformer on this roster. Zeus
stepping in, lots of damage. They can now force a flash out to safety. Zeus holding on for now. Hex Flash coming in, Poppy going to try and save the day. Buckler goes in, a little bit of a slow going through. Zeus needs to be careful here, can't walk too far forward, but Owner just continuing to harass. The E flashed away from Owner everywhere he needs to be.
And now it's a disaster. The lane is I don't know if Zeus is going to get his back, but the lane is pushing into Zeus. Tarzan doesn't have flash. Will be able to, at the very least, clear his own jungle, but he's going to be substantially behind here right from the get-go. And T1 find yet another early game lead.
You used double flash and you didn't even get the Jace's flash. That is, I cannot overstate how bad that is for the Renekton's lane state. You're down 0-2. You just got solo killed in your jungle. Then you both committed flash top to get absolutely nothing into a bad wave state. And now Zeus is going to play crazy aggressive here, knowing he has that flash advantage. Zika is in a world of hurt. Then you look down to bot lane. Surely it's going well there. Well, bad news. You're getting pushed in and you're about to lose a plate here to Keria and Guma, who have been playing incredible all series long.
Your only strong point of the map was Scout in the mid lane, but that's going to collapse if both bot and top have priority, giving up so much room for Owner to go wherever he wants to invade the jungle to contest these camps. And the fact that the early game is already falling apart in a match point situation for LNG again, it just feels like we've seen this game before. We know what comes next.
And it's going to be up to Scout in this one, I think. Tarzan is going to have to farm his way back in the game, and the initial burst of Sejuani early on with Permafrost and the power over W and Aftershock is insane. But once your cooldowns are used and you don't have that available, and especially if the Poppy can find an angle into the wall, you're not going to be able to withstand the initial burst.
Absolutely. And I just think Owner plays it out so incredibly well. Drops the hammer on him.
Oh, dang.
But damn, that was just so clean. I mean, he gets the aggro on him, uses the buckler. Now they're going to go aggressive bot side.
Bottom side, Owner trying to work with a little bit of space. Hung has no mana. Gala finds the initial route. The follow-up, good damage coming through from Gala. Potential, an opportunity to turn, but Owner sticking right on top of him. Phase rush now procced. Owner just going to zoom his little butt out to safety. We'll be fine for now. LNG holding on in the 3v3. Getting pressure here as well. A positive sign for their bot lane, but Owner might look to respond.
Oh, no Hex Flash coming through just yet. And Gala and Hung both with flashes available. Not going to run the risk.
Faker dodges the shockwave. Scout had 6 advantage, but he immediately is unable to find purchase with it.
Well, and Scout knew as soon as Faker dodges that, he has to retreat because Faker was about to hit 6, and if he stays up trading there, he's going to get scooped back, and he's likely going to be dead. So T1 going to use the mid prio, come down towards the Dragon. It's still a big CS advantage for Scout. We haven't really gotten to watch that, but Scout doing a really good job. By far his best performance in the 1v1 throughout this series.
And this is the man that was the MVP, right, of Summer, was able to carry this team, I think, when the rest of the players weren't able to keep it together. Scout always is their biggest lead with a just purely gained in the 1v1 advantage. But with the Orianna pick that we've seen, can skill insanely well, but not necessarily have the biggest impact. I think we saw this in the KT series as well. Is that lead going to be enough with how aggressive T1's playing this early game?
And especially without a great ball delivery system. There's no easy pairing. He doesn't have the Rakan, he doesn't have the Wukong, he doesn't have that guaranteed go button that is going to place that ball for him in a fight onto the back line, and that's really what you want. You want that access onto Guma, onto Faker, and I think that is going to be the difficulty for him in this game. It's again, and I feel like a broken record in a lot of these games, it's a bit about the engages here for LNG. They're going to have to come from multiple angles because they don't have any consistent engage. And it's going to be really tough when you're dependent almost entirely on a Sejuani to start off those fights. At this level, people are so good at dodging out.
Yes. It's a little bit more reliable and immediate than the Maokai, perhaps, outside of the Maokai Flash W, so perhaps LNG can get more done with it, but if you feel like a broken record, it's because, again, we've seen similar patterns in all 3 games where ultimately, even if individuals are laning well, even if Zika was laning well, it didn't matter. Zaya still found so many advantages in the team fights. Scout, even if he's laning well, if he can't press his advantage, if he can't use his advantage, then it does not matter in the face of T1.
The one big difference, though, with this series compared to the previous ones, is that Gala isn't being set behind early. He has actually been able to remain in a good position. The early gank being thwarted by Tarzan showing up when Owner was there as well actually ends up being big, and I think T1 was still able to stack a lot of the objectives. But it does mean, at the very least, that LNG should have a better opportunity once we get to the mid-game to utilize the power of their AD carry.
And it is showcasing the power of the Emilio, right? In that 2v2, obviously a lot stronger than the Blitz or the Recon. And it is going to allow Gala to be way more aggressive, right? You get the additional range with the W, you have the safety and the move speed from the E, and you have that cleanse that is so valuable that is going to be there with the ulti to be able to answer what Keria is going to do. And it's also allowed Gala to play Ghost when generally against Renata you always have to play
6.
Tarzan looking down here on the bottom side. Good initial damage. Nice pullback on the shockwave. Guma still standing for now. The bailout will buy enough time for them to get 1 kill back. Tarzan still standing, and that means Guma will fall. LNG find an angle on bottom side, but here comes the hostile takeover. And Faker knocking 2, but the tower, it does not fire back. Owner does not have the angle to fall up on the Gala. He will just barely be able to find a Gala now, trying to make it out to safety. T1 need to get a kill back and return. Gala goes up. Gala goes down, but for now he is still standing. Finding the dissonance, finding the speed up. Gala making it out, and hope sparks anew for the side of LNG.
What a dive there from LNG, able to pull it off and get out. You thought they were screwed as we're going to have potentially a fight here on top side. When Keria found that angle for the hostile takeover, I thought it was over for LNG on that bot side. Faker came in, but they couldn't quite finish off the kills. And Gala makes the marathon play, running out to safety.
And really big here is Keria at the onset of this play isn't actually 6. So they're able to 100-0 Guma. Tarzan is crucially able to deny the bailout. And because Faker, when he goes in for the shuffle, doesn't actually have any backup damage, there isn't enough, right? He doesn't have the items yet, he doesn't have the burst, and with the heal, Hung and Gala are able to path towards the top side and dodge Owner, who, even with the flash, doesn't get the wall knock into Gala.
Doesn't get the wall knock, and critically, his Q missed, and that's why he really ran out of damage here. You can see, proccing that little heal on the auto there from Gala gives him the speed up with the fleet footwork, being able to kite it out, and then the dissonance from Scout gives the additional move speed to really be able to get out of there. So frustrating for T1. And it's a very slight lead, but it is that spark of hope, as you said, Drake, goes for LNG for what feels like the first time.
Oh, as we might have another return play here from Tarzan!
Rinse and repeat, finding the lineup, finding the angle, instant damage coming through Felios. They can get the root as well, if they can find the mark. But nice counter punch coming in from Guma, using the ult to stop the play in its tracks. Gala continuing to step up. Desperate to get a little bit more here, but has to be careful. The mark now coming through. Bar is good damage. Guma wants to finish it, and he gets it! Absolutely outplayed in the 1v1. Guma finds the kill.
It's a 2v3, but T1 are on fire today. Guma and Keria crushing through Gala and Hong, and just when we thought they had some hope, they take it right back away.
And we haven't discussed it yet, but Guma Yushi's playing on hit, like it's not the Feli Varus. He's playing on hit. He's playing just normal AD Varus. So these longer fights are so much stronger as they're still fighting.
Owner now trying to make his way out to safety. No dash is available, so the steadfast presence won't do much. Faker now zooming in. The scoop goes a little bit wide. The knockback ready to go just in case the counterpunch comes. Engage will be denied. T1 can just set their sights on the Drake. A bloody back and forth.
They push him out, sure. Tarzan gonna get away, but T1 will take the objective right off the back of it. Hong and Gala around. Tarzan is sniffing, but it's gonna be too little, it's gonna be too late, so it's about the fight if it's about anything.
On to Guma. Follow-up is there. Owner not gonna connect. Zik on the backside. Hostile takeover is clean, and again, there's no cleanse available for Gala. Stops the play for now. Zika trying to find one. Owner surely should fall here. Still standing because of the bailout, but he will eventually die. LNG get the kill.
That is a big investment, though. Yes, they get the kill, but they lose the Dragon, and Zeus is gonna have this freeway with the topside turret. T1 are still looking for a player. I don't know about that.
Have to be careful. Keria and Guma continuing to back up. 3 seconds left on Guma Yushi's ultimate.
There's no TPs.
Not without Ibarus, cannot one-shot the wave.
Look at the Hex Gate. Faker's on his way.
Ulti available for Tarzan in just a couple of seconds here. Counting down, ticking away.
Yeah, they can't do it.
Faker gonna try to cover early ult to try to make it out safety. T1 backing off, are they gonna kill?
LNG linger for a bit too long, not respecting the burst, and here comes Faker. Tarzan getting shredded by the soldier. One more is going to do it. The Emperor of Shurima finding the double.
The double kill for the king of the LCK. Gets down to the bot lane, and Faker feels like he is on fire in this series. Showing up huge for T1, but LNG, they made it way too obvious. The dive was taking way too long, and look at the handshake to set it up.
Yeah, the big thing here is that you can sense the desperation from LNG. They desperately want to try and get a lead somewhere, but especially with Hex Gates, you need to know the timings. You have so much less time. The wave is so far up, and even with them pulling, trying to get it to crash earlier, it's not enough.
I mean, they were down there, and they knew that their opponent saw the dive coming for, I want to say, 30-plus seconds. There was a lot of time to respond to this play. You cannot be that slow against a team this good. You have to respect their ability to react. And T1 now, 2 Dragons up, 2,000 gold in the lead, and it's a Hextech Soul that is on the table here. Plus a monstrous lead, as Zika has tried to come down to the team now multiple times, while Zeus has been farming it up, farming plates, getting a CS advantage. He's now up over 40 CS, farmed multiple plates on the top side. That is a 13, nearly 1,400 gold lead for Zeus in the 1v1. That is going to be so hard for them to answer.
And the one lead that was still there for LNG was Scout, who has still maintained the CS lead, but because of the kills, I don't think Faker is going to be substantially behind in his item finishes. Doesn't have a Mythic now, but...
Push back, delays because of the Crown Shockwave, now pulling him back under tower. Faker keeping this one going. Trading ult for ult, not a bad deal. Again, Scout, the most fed member of the team. Both sides will walk away with their lives.
T1 now looking like they want to play towards this Herald. They have mid prio, they have the vision, and they're going to be starting it up here. There's just no way to contest. You look at the top lane itemization, it is not even close. Zeus monstrously strong, and Zika just still trying to scrape up the gold for his first item.
Doing what they can. Hong can't even clear the vision. Gallo, one item. He's doing all right, but he cannot face check in. Tarzan might step into the area just to try to attempt to steal, but it's too little, it's too late. Again, T1, the ones dictating the pace of the game, just as it was in Game 1 and Game 2. They had to fight a little bit harder to get it this time around, but still they remain in control.
And this makes that third Dragon that much harder because T1 are likely to save the Herald, drop it down mid lane prior to that third Dragon coming up here. Owner will just push Tarzan off. They'll secure the top tier 1, so they don't even need to use the Herald. Just get a quick reset, go down towards mid, set up your vision through mid, down towards that Dragon, drop the Herald on spawn, go towards that third Dragon, and LNG have got to decide with their year on the line, do we contest?
And a large part of it goes down back to the play that Owner made very early on. Because I think the strongest part in the early to mid game for LNG is specifically that Renekton and Sejuani combo. They literally didn't get to use it at any point because Tarzan has been on the back foot right from the get-go, allowing Zeus to play basically an isolated 1v1, which with the Jace,
Faker
he's always going to win.
In the darkness, coming through, the pushback onto Zeus to the skies, dumped down, and T1 just running the rift.
It's dominance from T1. This one quickly getting out of hand as Owner going to be chasing down Tarzan. He's got to run. Scout pushing out that tier 1 bot, but...
Zooming in. Ulti goes a little bit wide, but the second half of the root on the Chain of Corruption will catch. Owner wants to keep this 1v1 going. Scout now retreating. Scout now coming in. Stun goes in. The pullback nice
Cancel
from Scout, buying a bit more time. But now again, the follow-up. The steadfast presence. And who is steadfast if not T1 in the face of elimination? 3 back-to-back clean early games as they fight against LNG.
And the only saving grace there is Faker ends up going down. Even with the flash mistimed, it will end up giving over a kill to Scout, but T1, they're still going to take that play.
And right now, T1, again, the story has been dominance in a way that I just don't think we expected. Even if you favored T1 in the series, I imagine you would think that it was close, but these kind of plays are T1 flexing.
And they're really big is the initial damage that Scout's able to absorb with his crown, right? And then the follow-up, the fact that Zeus doesn't actually get to flash the shockwave. But even with that and the fact that Faker goes down, I think that T1 is still going to be able to set up again. I feel like, has this happened every single game? Like 3 Drakes? This early on is Tarzan.
Tarzan! That's your side of the rift, Zeus. Back away, Gala off to the side. He can root up 2. Follow-up autos there, roots. No, this buying a bit more time with the hostile takeover. Now they're autoing each other. They're just killing each other. LNG, the fight instantly turned to beautiful from Caria, but Scout
can't get the damage. It is not enough.
T1 are going to keep the chase going. Faker's going to take the Hex hit. He wants to wrap behind them. Look at mid. Mid, they're going to try to get both towers. They'll prevent the charge on the tier 1 by killing it off. So they're going to push in that Herald and go for 2 towers off of the play. And off of the delay there from T1, they get a kill. They take 2 towers. They're going to get a 3rd charge mid as well.
And they got the Hex Tech Drake with all that going on as well. Soul Point again at 18 minutes with a Hex Tech Soul.
And most of these games have been about T1 being 1 step ahead. And now it feels like they're 3 steps ahead. They're getting 3 objectives for every one thing that LNG manages to fight for. And while it initially looked okay, a beautiful ultimate from Keria stopped that play completely. Again, no cleanse on Gala. Took the Ghost, wanted more mobility to stay away from champions like Poppy, but it is not paying off.
And I just want to... The gold lead right now on top lane is almost 4,000. It's like 3,500 gold in favor of Zeus. So no one can match this Jace. So T1 can just keep pressing their advantages in the side lanes. And I think that's also the reason why the topside play doesn't work. T1 are very aware of where everyone of LNG is at the map at any given point.
And we have seen these kind of compositions really struggle time and time again. When you don't have a lot of engage options, there's just nothing you can do when you fall behind. And that is the position that LNG are now in. So they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to find picks. They're going to have to find a miracle. But T1 have been so bulletproof in their advancement of the game.
Down Keria overstaying. Will get cut down here. Not quite enough life.
You can't even get the face-checking support. It just hurts so much for LNG. Nothing going their way.
LNG cannot get lucky, not even once. And again, now desperation strikes in the mid lane, just trying to get something back. That's Gala's Ghost gone. For LNG, every play now, every major move on the map is a gamble because T1 will always take something from you in return. So if you cannot find purchase, if you cannot find an effective fight or an angle to leverage the strength that Scout has, you could very well lose this game. And you can see desperation setting in as they go for wilder and more aggressive plays as more and more picks slip through their fingers. As Keria walks away with 50 HP on that pick.
But this is the problem. Right now as LNG, you have a losing side lane. So what you want to do is try and force an advantageous 4v4. But how are you going to force? Right, you're playing into Poppy, you're playing into Azir. You have no engage.
Owner goes in, and he goes right back out. Phase rush Poppy, nigh untouchable.
The crown has been popped, and T1 are starting the Baron. LNG, your year is on the line right here, right now. How do they get in?
Can they make it work? Tarzan stepping forward, frontlining. The handshake pulls them back. The Baron already gone. There's no fight left. It's still Owner goes in, finds the knock up on 2. Zica at the back line. They're just forced to back away. But again, discipline is the story for T1. They got what they came for, and they walk away.
T1 get everything. They get the TP off Zika, they get the Baron, they're pushing down that top lane, and they're going to be able to answer mid. Maybe you lose the tier 1, but look at Keria, he's setting up for a
Hostile
play.
takeover, Shockwave there. Hostile takeover, a little bit of damage here. Faker off to the side. Owner backing away. Just the tier 1 and the objective bounty taken.
This is a 5 versus 4. Zeus is just pushing in the top side of the map. That's their most fat member. He's not even there.
And this is just dominance from T1. It's just continued to be more and more oppressive. They were a bit slow in some of those other games, taking control, steady, again, not getting over aggressive, but their lead is nigh insurmountable. They've got 3 Drakes in a minute. They will have Soul, and those LNG can stop them.
And it really feels like you poked the giant here. T1 have awakened in the quarterfinals. The last hope of the LCK, and it's looking like a damn good one.
This was a team that during summer, and obviously with all the circumstances, was struggling to make plays. But even before that, and this I really want to highlight, even before Faker struggled with his injury, the team was already struggling. You could tell how much difficulty they suffered from the fact that at MSI, they got beaten very one-sidedly by BLG. They were the team that was supposed to get it done after Genji got knocked out. And it really feels like, again, when we get to Worlds, T1 are just not the same team.
Yeah, and it's something that Guma talked about in his interviews, you know, that time away, giving him the space to become the player that he wants to be, to become greater, is now Faker breaking in the mid lane. Again, Tarzan can fish for the pick. They might be able to find it here. Can they get Faker down? The pushback's still there. Faker trying to slide, trying to glide out to safety. The root is there. The damage follow-up is not, however. Keria, the flash in, the handshake onto Scout. You will not take his mid laner.
Isaiah's pushing down the bottom side. They can retreat back to a Hex Tech Soul. No answers remaining for LNG. This feels like checkmate from T1. An incredible series that they have played. LNG have looked helpless to answer any of the plays from T1.
And it's Hextech Soul with a unhit Varus, a Zir with Nashers, and a monster fat Jace!
And Zeus, full confidence play. There's no reason he needs to do that, but he does it anyway!
Zeus puts Zika 6 feet under, and he's looking to seal the deal. Another solo kill for the 5-0-0 Jace.
Complete dominance. LNG no longer have the game in their hands. They are praying that T1 slip up, that T1 make a mistake, that T1 are overconfident. Zeus, maybe that was their opportunity on the bottom side, but Zeus makes it work anyway with his massive gold advantage.
LNG are praying, but God is on T1, and it's Faker leading the team, showing up in this series huge, outplaying Scout across both game 1 and 2 in that lane, and really showcasing his class. And it has been permanent. This would be the 8th semifinals at Worlds that Faker would advance towards. Never has he been eliminated in the quarterfinals, and he clearly does not want to let that start today.
And that prestige and pedigree, when he can show up like this, when he hasn't been the center of the story for T1 for so much of the year, is just a reminder of how world-class this player is.
And coming into today, I think there was a very real fear for a lot of fans. This T1 roster has already been under so much pressure. It just comes with playing for T1 as an organization, and particularly given how much they have struggled with consistency internationally when it comes to actually closing the deal. The added pressure of them possibly failing to have an LCK representative would have been the first time ever, right, that we have 4 representatives from the same region. But T1, it doesn't look like the pressure's getting them whatsoever.
Feels like a victory march down the mid lane. Inhibitor knocked down. Again, T1 taking their time, don't need to overcommit. They have the waves on their side, they have the soul on their side, the gold lead, every advantage they could want. No reason to risk anything. It is slow, it is steady, it is controlled, it is massive damage. Gallo firing back with the Inferno multi just to generate a little bit of space, but Scout getting chunks down. Don't even need a wave, just tearing through the tower as life bars shrink on the side of JDG, or LNG, excuse me. Hope dwindling. JDG on the minds of T1 looking ahead to the semifinals.
Zeus just isn't missing. It's ridiculous. It's like 20 shock blasts in a row that this guy has hit. He's monster fed, and he is just having them
Handshake back, connected down to the wall. Zeus firing up with so much damage. Down goes Zika. The pushback is massive. Gala knocked out at T1, eyes on the prize.
And it's the God of Thunder. He loves his lightning champions, and Jace was always his most iconic. And in this final game, Zeus shows why he still pulls it out.
The final push now, LNG, one last desperate hold, but they've got nothing left. And even as every other LCK team falls away, Faker stays standing. T1 stays standing. The last light of the LCK burns bright, and Busan is ahead to the semifinals.
And what a setup for semis this is, because I had faith in T1 coming into this series, but I thought that this was going to be a hard-fought battle. But T1, they threw a bunch of curveballs at LNG, and they just weren't able to find a consistent response.
It looks so difficult to answer T1 in draft. They were on point with the draft. They were on point with the play. They may be the last remaining team from the LCK, but damn, is it a good one. This team was on fire, absolutely obliterating LNG. And LNG, may I remind you, that went 13 out of 13 possible games against JDG, that played them closer than anyone in the LPL, that many people, myself included, had ranked as the second best team from the LPL, and T1 made it look easy.
T1 did, and every second counts, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, Faker arriving just in time to prevent the bot lane dive and securing himself a double kill. I mean, you look at this game, an incredible set of plays. We take a look back at this one.
And coming in, right, you know how much it would have meant for Scout if he was able to get the win here. But unfortunately in this one, not going to be the case. Faker with the timing, able to keep his bot lane alive, and I think that this really showcased the desperation of LNG in this series. This is a team that was known for their control, their ability to pick fights, but today we didn't get to see that.
And obviously condolences to LNG. Can't be happy with that performance. We're not able to withstand the sheer quantity of bot lane adaptations, the aggressive maneuvers in Game 3 from Owner especially to shut down Tarzan. And on the day T1 showed up, and not only T1 again, Faker, everyone's going to be excited about Faker always, but him dominating and dismantling Scout in this manner gets everybody hyped up for this JDG series.
Scout was on fire throughout summer, throughout most of the Swiss stage as well. And I was thinking if there was going to be that massive advantage for LNG, it would be in the mid lane. But it was Faker in games 1 and 2 that made such a massive difference. You know, beating Scout in that 1v1 and Zeus in this final game. It's a masterclass on the Jace. Got ahead early. The mistimed gank there from Zika and Tarzan. Tarzan getting solo killed. Owner taking him down. And then once Zeus had that flash advantage, he just never let go of that advantage. Slammed it home. And in that late game, it was absolute dominance. I mean, he ends the game 6.7 thousand gold ahead of where the Renekton was.
And coming into today, I thought that the jungle matchup was going to be pivotal. I did not expect it to be this one-sided, because I do truly think that